Hello, boys and girls. Got another video for you fine folks on the internet here. Another installment in the Matthew Buckley Talks music series. Today looking at another singer-songwriter folky album from the late 60s. Something of a cult classic. 1969's It's So Hard to Tell Who's Going to Love You the Best by Karen Dalton. Released on Capitol Records, as I said, in 1969. First reissued decades later in 1994 as a Japanese import CD. And then a few years later, 1997, as a Coke Records CD reissue for United States markets. And a couple years later again by Unveiled Records for a 1999 United Kingdom import CD. And it was actually apparently given 2006 given a CD DVD reissue on European import by Megaphone Music, which I am honestly quite curious. I don't know what video footage is on there. I didn't know that edition was ever in existence until I was doing the research for this video. But it was also issued as a 2009 Capitol Records Japanese import mini LP paper sleeve CD. In the same year, it was reissued on vinyl, finally, by Light in the Attic Records. And just last year, it was issued as part of the Record Store Day Black Friday 2020 limited edition drops. And that's what this issue is. So, a little background for anyone who might not be familiar, since Karen Dalton isn't exactly a household name. She was born Jean Karen Carriker, or Carriker, not 100% sure how to pronounce her last name, but anyways, she was born Jean Karen Carriker on July 19th, 1937, in Bonham, Texas, of American Indian, Cherokee, and Irish descent. Karen Dalton was raised in Enid, Oklahoma. Her family had moved early in her life. And she also lived in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and Lawrence, Kansas. By the time she was 21, she had already been twice divorced. There's an infamous story, I believe, that originated from one of her daughters about her actually losing 2 teeth, breaking up a fight between 2 boyfriends of hers. She moved to New York City in 1960 with the intent of joining the Greenwich Village folk music scene. She became a regular performer at the Café Wa and quickly befriended her contemporaries, which included such soon-to-be music giants as Fred Neil, Tim Hardin, and Bob Dylan, whom you may have heard of. And she added a share of their compositions to her repertoire and regularly would reinterpret their songs through her own rustic lens. She would go on to marry Richard Tucker, another folk singer of the local scene, with whom she would sometimes play as a duo on stage. And during this time, it was well documented that her alcohol and drug abuse was enough of an issue that both recording and performing were exceptionally difficult for her. Apparently, it was record producer Nick Vinay, best known for signing the Beach Boys to Capitol Records and producing their early material, who had been unsuccessfully attempting for some time to record Dalton. And it was at his personal request that they record the Fred Neil song Little Bit of Rain so that he could have it for his personal collection. This favor led to a full session, the entire album recorded in essentially one evening, mostly in single takes. Allegedly, Dalton was initially unaware that the tape was even left running after recording the first song, a strategy of Fred Neil's, who had been invited to the session by Vinay. But I'll only really scratch the surface with her personal bio information, because there's so much more to dig into. Her life story is quite tragic, so just digging in a little for some basic information. But onto the album itself, that she had been sort of tricked into recording. Side 1 opens with Little Bit of Rain, the Fred Neil song that she had agreed to record. So you could kind of think of it as the genesis of the whole album. But the song is written around the idea of finding the silver lining in heartbreak, remembering the good days and sunshine in a relationship past, and just a little bit of rain. I love it, really. It's an incredible song, and an incredible start to the album, as it kind of encapsulates a lot of Dalton's strengths as a performer, interpreting others' songs through her smoky and weary voice, her rustic and deliberate but gentle instrumentation. It really, kind of carries the spirit of the whole album in one track, in my opinion. The next track is an old blues song written by Jelly Roll Morton, Sweet Substitute, which slows the tempo down, if only slightly. It begins with a lamentation of a man who has left, but by the end of the first verse, the singer has begun to look around and found her sweet substitute. It's hard to say. She sings of being enamored with her new fella, but continuously refers to him as just that, a substitute. So what exactly is she trying to say? She found new love, but it will always be just a substitute for what she really wants? You decide. The next track is a traditional folk song arranged by Dalton, Ribbon Bow, another rumination on love that could have been. Dalton contemplates various garments that would make her own true love find her fair and wish that he had taken me while he could, as she sings. The instrumentation is intricate. She must be doing some very impressive finger picking on her 12-string guitar. And though the song is relatively slow and stripped, just guitar and bass behind her vocal as far as I can tell, the playing is nimble and adept. And the next track is a cover of an Otis Redding classic, I Love You More Than Words Can Say, written by Booker T. Jones and Eddie Floyd. It's a straightforward, heartfelt declaration of love and desire in the face of separation and heartbreak. Once a horn-heavy, soulful groove, Dalton transfigures the song through an acoustic folk blues lens. The groove is still present. Harvey Brooks lays down some very solid bass parts. And then the following track, In the Evening, parenthetical, it's so hard to tell who's going to love you the best, is another traditional blues song arranged by Dalton. Another slow, plodding rumination of loneliness in the face of lost love. It's so hard when the one you love is not around. The one I really love, he was laying somewhere else. It's so hard to tell who's gonna love you the best. All lines from the song. Her playing is so casual, but again, adept, as I said before. Her vocals so intimate, yet honestly unaffectionate, which is an interesting delivery, she has going on to get those qualities. Again, her 12-string acoustic finger picking is not to be overlooked. It's really fantastic stuff, and this is a stellar ending to side 1. And side 2 opens with Blues on the Ceiling, another Fred Neil cover song, a declaration of loneliness and isolation in the wake of a relationship's end. The blues, that blue, lonesome feeling, just surrounds the singer, and metaphorically speaking, can be seen across their floor, walls, ceiling, running over the bed, everywhere in their personal life. They don't expect to get out of these blues alive, as she sings. The playing, again, is accomplished and actually fairly energetic on this track, which stands out a little bit from the rest of the somewhat lethargic album. And the next track, It Hurts Me Too, is one of the most famous and reinterpreted blues songs over the last 100 years, originating in the late 1920s and early 30s through several variations by old blues players of the day. It has evolved into a steady structure through versions by Elmore James, and has been a staple of the blues songbook, like I said, for nearly a century. Another declaration of love in the face of difficult times, the singer trying to assure their love that they're in it together, and if something's going wrong with you, it hurts me too. That's great. I'm gonna take a moment to get a sip of tea for the working man here. It's good stuff. Anyway, the next track, How Did the Feeling Feel to You, is a Tim Hardin cover. Another one of her contemporaries, as I said earlier, from the early 60s folk scene. It seems to be a contemplation of love gone awry, one person simply playing the part and just doing what they think will make the singer happy. The ending lyrics of each verse make it sound like the relationship is already collapsed, is already over, but that seems to betray the lyrics immediately prior. Just one more night makes no difference as long as there's another night to make right what you did wrong. Maybe I'm just misinterpreting the lyrics, but in any case, it's sad, like the rest of the album. A downer. It does have something of a more full sound, maybe just more production, something going on with the guitars. Just sounds a little more, like, again, specifically with the guitars, like there's something going on. But the next track, Right, Wrong, or Ready, is credited to Major Wiley, and is another bluesy groove featuring a very strong vocal from Dalton. And honestly, there's not much I can say about this song, aside from the fact that it's a highlight of the album for me. The lyrics are just vague enough that I have a hard time discerning exactly what she's saying, but it speaks volumes in different states of mind. And the next track, Down on the Street, parenthetical, Don't You Follow Me Down, is an old Leadbelly song, and in this reading features electric guitar, making it stand out on the album. Dalton's vocal is strong as well. I would say it's a strong wail. And the ending refrain of Cry for Me speaks not only of the tone of this album, but honestly of her life story as a whole. And there's some meandering electric guitar lines that kind of peter out and end side 2, ending the album. So, I guess, all things considered, I love this album. There's no way, I don't think there's any way it could have possibly been anything other than a cult success at any point in the history of popular music. The arrangements are sparse, the production is minimal, the songs are overall very depressing, and to put it simply, but all of these qualities that would inhibit widespread commercial success or mass distribution and radio play, in spite of the fact that she was signed to Capitol Records, are also qualities that make her work so unique and so special. The raw emotional delivery she gives every song is 100% authentic. You have no trouble believing anything she sings on the album. And the songs she chooses are so direct and tell such consistent themes that whether she's covering a traditional blues song or an Otis Redding hit, it sounds like it's coming from inside of her. The basic arrangements allow the songs to shine and cut through you without any superfluous instrumentation. And there's, a handful of mostly acoustic guitar solos, but they're uniformly laid back in line with the rest of the album. And I must revisit Dalton's voice, the raw emotional vocal with smoky, world-weary qualities. Her voice has often been compared to Billie Holiday's, and she apparently made her disdain of the comparison known in her lifetime, but hearing her sing, it really is hard to avoid drawing similarities. It's simply the same style of delivery, but in a folk blues context as opposed to a jazz blues context. So she's an incredible singer, and not you definitely do not overlook her instrumentation. Her banjo playing and especially her finger picking on her 12-string are sublime. So let me get y'all a closer look here at the album jacket. It's got a very cool, overexposed portrait of Karen playing both banjo and guitar, and then her face just kind of imposed behind it. Honestly, it reminds me of the Doors album cover with Jim Morrison's face superimposed behind the rest of the band. And there's the back cover, a very nice portrait of Karen, the track info, who wrote what, how long it is, band info, notes from Nick Benet, a very beatnik poem from Karen, and of course the Black Friday Record Store Day sticker that I stuck directly on the back because I'm a monster. Let me get y'all a good look at the green capital label, Shazam. And the B-side. And this Record Store Day Black Friday pressing does sound really great. I've read some mixed reviews about the 2009 Light in the Attic pressing, which again I can't really speak because I've not heard that pressing firsthand, but I've read mixed reviews, and listening to this myself, this pressing sounds fantastic. So I'm glad I was able to pick this up when I did. And honestly, if I had one complaint about the album, it's such a minor complaint, I would probably want to switch the last song on each side. Just swap the sides. Put In the Evening at the end of side 2 and Down on the Street at the end of side 1. I've always felt that the, kind of petering guitar at the end of Down on the Street leaves you wanting more and would be a great end to the first side, whereas the end of In the Evening is so stark and dramatic that it would, be a perfect ending to the album as a whole, because at the end of it you're just kind of stunned, as opposed to Down on the Street where I feel like I'm ready for more. But that's just me, just my silly observation. Anyway, as the album is, I still think it's great, and I still would not hesitate. I would rate it 9 out of 10. This album, though unconventional and certainly not something you're going to throw on at a party, is just beautiful. It's full of quality. It's full of emotion. It's been on regular rotation for me, in several mornings and evenings over the last few weeks. It's just perfect for reflection and contemplation and solitude, I guess. But let me know in the comments below. Are you familiar with It's So Hard to Tell Who's Going to Love You the Best? Or are you familiar with any of Karen Dalton's other works? She only put out one other album in her lifetime, and there have been a few, like 3 or 4, I think, posthumous collections published in the last 15 or so years. But I appreciate the viewership. Thanks for watching. Like I said, let me know below if you have any comments. And take care, because I'll be coming at you sooner or later with more. This has been Matthew Buckley Talks Music with Karen Dalton. It's so hard to tell who's going to love you the best. Music is the best.